Hello, welcome to the Crafty View. I'm Diane Williams, the host for the show, and today we have a special guest, and she does some incredible work. You remember paper and scissors, don't you? Well, wait till you see what she does with paper and scissors. And this person's also a quilter, so hold on. We're at the Guild, as you can see. Look around behind me. Lots of things here. Come visit sometimes. 950 Rice Road in Ridgeland on the other side of the reservoir. Thank you. Well, look who we have here. And what is your name, young lady?
Sarah Rick.
Well, spell your last name.
R-I-C-K.
Sarah
Very
Rick.
simple.
So nice to meet you, but I've met you before because you do some incredible silhouettes and portraits, and you do it with paper and scissors. Tell me about your artwork. Tell me about when you got started and what inspires you.
Well, I've drawn and colored and cut all my life. My mother discovered that when we were little children that providing us with art supplies was a good way to keep us busy and quiet. And she was also an artist, so she could kind of encourage us. And so I grew up with scissors and things in my hands.
Amazing. So did you ever take any classes, or have you ever taught classes on how to do what you do?
Well, I had good public school art classes all through high school, especially in high school, which I wouldn't have enjoyed high school nearly as much if I hadn't had those. And I did take a class in drawing and painting at the New York Studio School, which was a learning experience, but I decided I was not a painter.
Well,
But drawing, it was heavily emphasis in drawing and drawing from life, and so that has really stuck with me, that what you can see from real life is so much better than what I could invent.
well, tell me about some of what we call the humps you had to climb over in learning how to do what you do, because it's intricate sometimes.
Well, it's really a matter of practice. You set out to do something and you have an idea in your mind of what you want it to look like, and you keep working at it till it does, but it isn't, practice is the main teacher.
What design that you created is your proudest work?
Well, that's a hard one because I have to go back about 75 years here. That little cardinal that I did out of the Audubon bird book when I was about 5 years old.
Really?
I was really proud of that at the time. One of my quilts I'm especially proud of that has a lot of different techniques in it. And I have a painting I did, one of my last oil paintings of a farm family in Pennsylvania making scrapple. It's a big wall picture about 6 by 8 feet.
Oh my gosh.
But I have some more recent silhouette cutouts that I don't have any of my favorites with me here today. I have a few with me here today that I can show some the kind of work I do. I don't have any human portraits with me,
But you
and
do.
there are none in the gallery because usually when someone comes for a portrait, they take it with them. So I don't keep those. I don't have very many of those in my possession.
Let's see what you have.
My model, when I don't have a person, is I've got a little cat. And so he has been my model particularly during times when there were no shows. And so I'm leaving these two here at the gallery because they don't have any of those. And then I also I really love plants and growing things and vegetables. And I have some here that it's cut paper this was a strawberry plant in the middle of winter. People don't think of strawberries in the middle of winter, but they're out there getting ready for the spring.
And you use scissors to cut the veins?
Yes. Mm-hmm. And you can, if you, you have to be careful not to cut off. Like you can't cut through all the way to the end or it falls off. So you have to really think about where you cut.
Do you draw first or you
No. This is one thing that I try, it's part of my drawing with the scissors. And I try not to pre-draw. Every once in a while I will pre-draw something just for some particular reason I want to do it that way. But generally I want my eye and my hand to see the design, and if it's not exactly like the model, I adapt to what I've got, what I've done, rather than try to force it to be exactly like the model, because the cat gets up and walks away. So then you've got to be creative, or the wind blows and the plant completely changes its situation. This is one of some muscadines, the last muscadines of the season.
So you painted a background?
No, I didn't paint it.
Okay,
and this is going to, what is the word, segue into my quilting. The background is a piece of fabric that was left, a scrap from one of my quilting projects.
Nice.
So that one, and as is this one, the green flowered print is a.
So you've combined
piece
your
of
art
fabric.
forms.
And I'd like to do more of that. I haven't figured out quite how to do this little bag here. Is one of my cutout designs, which my daughter had silk screen onto the, I haven't figured out how to do that myself, but working on getting the cutout designs onto fabric.
Very nice. And you talked about your quilting. I remember seeing one of your quilts that, and I may not get this just right, it was like an open door or something that looked out on the expanse. Talk about the work you put into doing that one, what that was all about.
That was, I belong to the Kosciuszko Quilt Guild, which is a group of, I don't know. Anyway, we meet once a month, more or less. And each year we do a challenge, and that year the challenge was to pick something around your house that you really love and turn it into a quilt design. And what I really like about our house is it's got a lot of windows. It's kind of, this time of year, sometimes you wish you didn't have so many great big windows, but it has a lot of windows, and it's got French doors that go from the interior rooms to the outside rooms, so that wherever you are in the house, you can see outside. And so that's what I did into the quilt design, was looking through the French doors and through the outside windows and seeing the outside.
That was such a beautiful piece, yes.
That one's kind of an odd one, so it tells me something about you that you liked that one.
Well, it doesn't hurt. I used to work for the State Arts Commission.
But that one's, it's not a,
that was an accomplished piece. Yeah, it was an accomplished piece, though. And
I actually cut, in order to do that, I had to cut paper patterns of all those odd shapes, and I have those. So I could, I think, duplicate that if I wanted to. Yes. More or less.
Fabulous.
But I haven't yet.
How long have you been a member of the Craftmen's Guild?
2008, I believe, was the year I got in.
Okay.
It was shortly after we moved here to Mississippi.
From where?
We were living in Tennessee, but have lived before that in Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm. Are you a Jacksonian or
No, my mother is a native Mississippi. My mother grew up in Sallis, Mississippi, and that's where we live now.
Okay, Sallis.
And I never lived here as a child. We never lived here, but we always came to visit. My grandmother lived there.
Okay.
Spent a week every summer.
And so tell me about your exhibitions. I know you have exhibited at Chimneyville. Have you done any other exhibitions or fairs or things like that?
Well, I do some local, um, festivals and such. I used to go to one regularly in just over the state line in Tennessee that was a old, anyway, it had a lot of old time craft, pre-electricity arts and crafts. And
Nice.
they had the situation, they had buildings brought in that had things like a tobacco smoking house and an old house, log houses, and hog butchering and blacksmithing and
Oh, so
all
people
sorts
could
of
go
stuff.
back in time
Yes,
and
so
see how people occupied their time before television.
well, and that crafts could be done without
Without electricity.
So
Okay.
my paper cutting, it's one thing I love about it. It's so simple. And if you make a mistake, it's just paper. It's not like it's gold jewelry or something like that.
Which brings me to my next question. It's just paper, but do you look for a certain type of paper, a certain weight of paper to do your work?
Yes. First, it's got to be good quality art paper. It can't be like just construction paper, fades and it's pulpy, it doesn't cut well anyways. But I use either Swathmore, Kenson. It's actually made for pastel, I guess. It's what they call laid paper. It's got a little bit of grit to it, and it's a lighter weight for most of them. And so I can move the paper.
Okay.
And if I need to cut a double portrait, which I do, sometimes I'll cut a profile with the paper, 2 thicknesses, so then people have one copy to keep and one to give away.
Oh,
And
nice.
so that has to be a very thin paper.
Okay. You're incorporating fabric now with your paper cutouts, but do you ever paint on your designs?
On my cut paper ones,
Yes.
I've never had the urge to do that. I have seen in the past where, some of the famous people from back in the 1800s, there's a fellow who used to put in little white lines and all, but I keep mine simpler.
Okay.
And if I can't cut the white line, I don't use it.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to tell us about your work, about your quilting or your paper?
One other exhibit that I did here in Jackson, and it wasn't exactly an exhibit, it was about 4 years ago, I guess. They had an exhibit called Blackout at the Mississippi Museum of Art that had a collection of silhouette pictures of various kinds. Some were old and some were modern silhouette artists who are wonderful. And they asked me to come when they opened that show. They asked me to come and just do portraits of people that came in, and that people didn't have to pay for them or anything. So you can imagine I had a line. I had someone, they provided someone to keep track of who's next. Kind of.
Okay.
But I did portraits of whoever was coming to the show and wanted their portrait done as kind of I don't know, just an intro into the show.
Yeah, that makes things really nice. It mixes it up a little bit and adds a little flavor.
And I got acquainted with the museum that way too.
Oh,
which is a
okay.
wonderful
Yes.
place.
Yes, yes. Well, thank you so much. If someone wanted to get in touch with you, do you have a website?
No, I don't.
The social media?
I don't do social media. I can reach me through the Craft Center.
Okay.
I have a phone number and an address, and since I don't do pictures online, I don't do any kind of which there is a whole market out there to people send you your photograph and do them, but I don't do that. I depend on personal contacts out here. They can call me up.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Sarah.
Well, Diane, thank you for putting, I want everybody to know that this was not planned, rehearsed. This was a drop-in interview. And so if my hair's not combed, it's because I've been driving around with my window open.
Well, we appreciate your time. Have a great day.
And thank you, Diane.